Wednesday night's hero against the Kiwis became Friday's villain, with Damien Morey showing off his Socceroo skills to set up Adelaide's opener. 18-year-old Clayton Zane gave the crowd what it wanted minutes later, when his left footer beat Socceroo's goalkeeper Jason Petkovic. Both sides had their chances to break the deadlock. The turning point came in the 67th minute, when a push in the back of man of the match Troy Halpin gave captain David Lowe a shot at a goal in the game. The crowd of more than 4,000 rewarded with the first home win of the season. Richard O'Leary, NBN News. That win gave Rodney Griffiths the big double of the day after earlier winning the Sandown Guineas aboard Peep on the Sly. Count Shivers paid $6.10 and $2.70, the trifecta $568.80. Racing was also at Rose Hill. Our best, race 6 over 1,300 metres. Pimpala Patch paid $2.40 and $1.40, a trifecta $131.50.
Central North's assault for the Cup began well after an easy win over North Coast. Captain Mark Curry and Armidale batsman Harvey Stevenson scored fine centuries, sharing a 185-run partnership during the side's 117-run victory. The clash with the country champions was always going to be tough, Newcastle boasting several current and former country cricket players. In a shortened game due to rain, Central North never fired. Tamworth's Jason Stanley, the only batsman to shine, in his side 6 for 159. Any chance of a Central North upset was lost when country batsman Phil Stambridge smashed a quick-fire 44. Newcastle cruised to victory with 7 wickets to spare. The New South Wales country squad will be announced in 2 weeks, with Curry and Stevenson solid chances for selection. Jim Callanan, NBN News.
Skip Jackson added the Tetran 20-lap feature to his list of wins on Saturday night. He's now the clear point score leader in the state Sprint Car Drivers' Championship.
Hit below, here's trouble in mate, straight up and over goes Brett Labour, look out! Off goes Loadsman, the wing high up and over the fence.
A main straight rollover by Brian Reid's sprint car ripped the wing from the vehicle and flung it 10 metres into the air and over a safety fence. In the final of the night, Jackson burst through from midfield to snatch victory in the final laps of the race.
The checkered flag and it's Skip Jackson.
They might be a long way from Weipa, but northern New South Wales coal miners showed today the CRA dispute is one close to their hearts. 2,000 miners crammed into the Cessnock Town Hall. Already on strike since midnight, they voted unanimously to continue their stoppage until the matter at Weipa is resolved.
Yeah, all they're asking for is quite clearly this. They want the right, for equal work, for equal pay, and also the fact that they want the right to collectively bargain rather than individual contracts.
But the miners also voted to extend their strike action by an additional 24 hours to focus attention on another CRA wrangle at the Vickery coal mine at Gunnedah. Miners there have been on strike for 15 weeks over a pay and shifts dispute, claiming CRA subsidiary Nova Coal is trying to squeeze the union out of the workplace. Union executives say the hard-won pay and conditions of miners across northern New South Wales will be at risk if they don't win at Vickery.
The prospect of the arbitration is next Friday, but the one thing that is very apparent today is that the Northern Districts will have their eyes on Vickery as well as Weipa.
With the miners resolute, the strike is costing the coal industry as much as $20 million each day it continues. Coal companies have referred the matter to the Industrial Relations Commission in Newcastle. A hearing is set down for 1 p.m. tomorrow. Ian Cameron, NBN News. Wet weather means winners and losers. City motorists were among those on the receiving end overnight and this morning. The roads no fun at all as Newcastle took delivery of nearly 80 millimetres of rain in a 30-hour period. Out into the Upper Hunter and the northwest, the rain has been wiping the smiles off grain farmers' faces. Wheat, barley and canola producers had been banking on good yields of high-quality grain. Ripe for harvest, the crop has now absorbed the moisture. It's likely to be downgraded to feed standard, with a corresponding drop in price.
If it did go from prime hard down to feed grade, that is a dollar loss of around $75 a tonne.
Not all landowners are unhappy though. The rain has boosted growth for stock feed and eased pressure on always stretched water supplies. It's also helped prepare the ground for farmers ready to sow summer crops.
It's not what you may think. It's not a case of self-defence, more of defending the try line.
It's to look at tackling technique, falling techniques, and to really assist them in getting the players to the ground as quickly as possible, and for us to be a dominant force in that area next year.
So we need to teach the players to basically learn to use their hips, their legs, their whole body more to get the player down more effectively, more efficiently.
For the smaller players, such techniques can be invaluable in putting the bigger forwards on the ground and keeping them there. It's a first for the club and is part of not only fitness and technique, but also keeping the players interested in training with a long season ahead.
We're more or less 6 days a week at the moment, fairly well spread out. The guys are training about 14 hours a week, but then again, so is every other team in the competition.
It's the first time some of these teenagers have been on a yacht. They were taken on a tour by a man who knows his craft well, Lake Macquarie yachtsman Tony Mowbray, who has teamed up with some of his mates for a worthy cause. The trio will set sail in February for a week-long trip aimed at raising awareness and much-needed funding for the Hunters Canteen branch, the organisation that supports teenage cancer patients.
From a fundraising point of view, Canteen, Hunter branch, members of that have got some problems health-wise, and I really, myself and Vince and Kia, really feel as if we'd like to do something to help them out.
And it's a helping hand that is really lifting the spirits of those who need it.
Makes me feel good about it, thank you.
It cheers everybody up that people are willing to take time off work, away from their families to do something for us.
Sponsors are needed for the trio's laps around the lake. It's a 50-kilometre round trip, averaging about 4 a day, and it's hoped tens of thousands of dollars will be raised.
I'm not too sure if there's no one that's silly enough, sillier than us, but this sort of thing hasn't been done before on Lake Macquarie, and it's a beautiful waterway.
Canteen is considering using the funds for a minibus and camps run for the teenagers. Heather Stewart, NBN News.
Local drivers John Brown and Greg Cassidy dominated the early laps, but their duel gave Lismore Stuart Hearn the chance to move through the field. 7 laps into the 25-lap race and Hearn had pushed his way into 6th position. His efforts made easier after Ray Tyler and Sean Mortimer locked up. Hearn took the lead with 8 laps to go and kept it until the finish. In other races, John Pine extended his lead in the Super Sedan Gun Series after another win, and Andrew Wright won the Litre Car final. And West Wallsend's Craig Anderson has won the Shell Oils Motocross Shootout at Raymond Terrace after winning 4 out of the 5 races in today's last round. New Zealander Andrew Hardisti also handled the conditions, winning the Pan Pacific Championship with a win and 2 seconds from 3 races. It's the first time they've all been together, the coaches of the Falcons, Breakers, Knights and the Wildfires. Every week they try to get the best out of their players, but this time it was all up to them. And they all agreed that the stress of a big game was nothing like the pressure they felt at Newcastle Golf Club.
I think it'll be more stressful for the way I play, yeah.
The wind will be a real problem, but no more than I'm used to experiencing anyway.
They became the pupils for the day as some of the best trainee pros did the coaching.
Coaches are pretty uncoachable as a general rule, and we'll see how they go with us. Maybe they can improve us a little bit.
And unlike the sports they're used to, there's only one person to blame for any mistakes.
I get angry with myself more than anybody else. It's that sort of game.
The get-together was organised as part of today's Pro-Am to promote the Australian Futures Championship, which starts in Newcastle on Thursday. And the competition is sure to be a lot tougher than today's dress code. Richard O'Leary, NBN News.
Because it's new, Mayfield West Fire Station enjoys the strategic advantage of being in the right place to serve the changing layout of the city.
Our industrial drive's a good access for us. It provides access to the east and west, and Werribee Street opposite provides us access in the southern direction.
The traffic light intersection outside the station is set specially to give fire engines the green light when heading out on a call. The brigade's response time to the heavily industrialised Kooragang Island has been reduced by 5 minutes from the old Ties Hill station, condemned since the 1989 earthquake. The old building will be bulldozed and the land sold, the money raised helping to offset the $1 million invested in the new station. The station will be staffed around the clock and firefighters were pleased to be moving into their new surrounds. The station will be officially opened in the new year.
The alarm was raised just after 4 p.m, a Hunter Street shop owner calling police when he noticed that the doors of Rogers Jewellers store had been closed early. Uniform officers arrived soon after, quickly summoning ambulance backup and detectives.
Elderly gentleman, I believe, he may be the proprietor of the store. He's been found bashed, he's knocked about a fair bit, and basically that's about all I can tell you.
Neighbouring shopkeepers say the 70-year-old business has been the target of thieves in recent times. The shattered front door, the sign not of today's attack, but of a break-in earlier this month. They say members of street gangs have been regularly cruising the area, singling the elderly jeweller out because he worked on his own in the store. The man was rushed to Newcastle's John Hunter Hospital with extensive head injuries. He's listed in a stable condition. Investigating police are still trying to determine what was stolen in the raid. Ian Cameron, NBN News.
And it says that what Newcastle City Council has been doing has been excellent and of a very high quality.
Community involvement that we managed to engender out there in Newcastle.
On a two-day tour of northern New South Wales, Farmers Association Chief Ian Donges has warned communities not to become complacent about the plight of its rural cousins. In a cruel irony, some areas of the state remain drought declared, while in other districts crops have been ruined by drenching rains. Mr Donges says it's important drought relief funding isn't cut, as farmers are far from out of trouble.
Commentators say, OK, it's rain, the drought's over, but farmers all know well and truly that to really say the end of a drought, you're looking at a period of 3 or 4 or 5 months of good follow-up rains.
Meanwhile, rallies are being held to protest against the Carr government's policy on clearing native vegetation on farms. Armidale farmers yesterday voiced their outrage at a policy which requires the consent of 2 government departments when a farmer wishes to clear more than 2 hectares of vegetation.
Essentially, the document is designed to make it extremely difficult for any farmer to gain consent through not only the 16 criteria, but 2 government departments to wrestle with as well.
The association says the rallies will continue until the policy is toned down. There's another meeting of farmers in Gloucester tonight. Laura Saperstein, NBN News.
Karate has been an important part of Peter Oberacker's life for more than 30 years. Well known in the highly competitive sport but not one to chase glory, Peter has finally been recognised for his commitment as a martial arts instructor. At the National Blitz Magazine Hall of Fame Awards, Peter was voted by his peers as an instructor who puts great emphasis on the fundamentals of karate. Peter runs his own martial arts school. Some of his earliest students now bring their own children along to learn.
I've spent a lot of years sticking to the things that I believe in, and because of that reason, the people that judge you have also spent a lot of time in the profession, so to speak. And the most important thing there is that we get through to teaching young people the right way in martial arts.
Now people travelled from Japan for Peter's special brand of teaching.
So in many ways, you're sort of unsung in many ways, but the people come here from all over the world to train at our humble dojo here.
As temperatures soared, bushfire brigades battled a blaze in dense scrub at Mount White on the Central Coast. The fire forced the closure of the nearby Old Pacific Highway from 2 o'clock. It's believed sparks from overhead power lines may have started the fire.
It's very hot today, but yesterday was even worse.
Yesterday, Newcastle experienced its hottest day in November for 13 years, the temperature reaching 38 degrees. Today, an onshore wind cooled things down with the mercury rising to a top of 32. Inland, it was certainly as hot as yesterday. Morisset recorded the highest temperature in the state, 41 degrees. Dungog was close behind with 40. Not everyone, though, had to endure the heat.
We're cool, aren't we, Scott? Yeah, man, we're cool.
Some businesses welcomed the unofficial start to summer.
Hot weather, bloody beautiful as a matter of fact.
The hot weather is expected to continue this week. Jane Anderson, NBN News.
With darkness enfolding the school hall at Swansea High, students embark on a journey into the bazaar. The cold reality of the classroom is left behind, but the theme of education remains as a massive eyeball takes over as teacher. The Creative and Performing Arts Expo, involving 120 students from Swansea High, is the first achievement of a new arts faculty at the high school. Based on the theme of dreams, the show features surreal images taken from the work of artist Salvador Dali. Students who choreographed dances, made sets and supervised sound were as proud as peacocks with their efforts, if a little overwhelmed by the harsh realities of show business.
It's hot, it's sweaty, my wig is itchy, but it's fun.
With wife Kerry and sons James and Curtis, the night's new test rank has begun settling into a Cooks Hill apartment. Oldest boy James was celebrating his 6th birthday today, but Dad and the rest of the family are hoping for a bigger party in September to mark a Knights premiership.
Obviously I'd like to win his medal. I think come to Newcastle, I've got more choice, more options, and hopefully I can get a winners medal.
Since being picked by Mal Reilly to tour New Guinea and New Zealand with Great Britain in 1990, Jackson has become one of the most feared dummy half runners in the game. His move has reunited him with Reilly, and he's already got to know some of his teammates, having packed down against Andrew Johns in the Cup final. The pair should now form a formidable combination around the rucks, with Jackson keen to rejoin the competition after a stint with the Rabbitohs last season.
Like I say, it's playing in the Winfield Cup is something that I've always wanted to do. Like I say, I had 3 months with South Sydney, and I was always looking to have a longer stay. Now I'm here with Newcastle, and hopefully it's going to be good for me.
After 2 suspensions in play yesterday, Mother Nature again tested the players' patience and skill today. Joint overnight leader Lars Holden was one of several to slip back through the field, despite his remarkable touch at the third to save par. A former member of Newcastle, Lee McKechnie, also had his problems after firing a 70 yesterday. 1 under par through 12, he lost 3 shots in 2 holes to finish with a 74 to be even for the tournament. But the Bonnyrigg trainee is still well in contention.
Considering the conditions, it wasn't too bad 2 over today. I started off fairly well, but as the round come on and the rain come down, it made things a little bit more difficult.
He's 3 shots clear of defending champion Ewan Walters, while 1993 winner Ricky Schmidt is 5 over par. Only 60 players remain in the tournament following today's cut at 8 over par, with the leading players to tee off at around 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Emergency crews are still working to clear away the debris from homes, driveways and yards. There are still more than 50 families in need of help, but there's only so much the volunteers can do.
It's in a dreadful mess, especially this area of Medford. We've been in 2 streets nearly all day trying to clean them up with all the rubbish that's here. It's unreal when you look at it, sort of into what the damage could do, a storm could do like this.
For some, it's going to take months before life is back to normal. It seems there's no end to the clean-up, just as there is an endless stream of SES crews, council workers and volunteers tirelessly helping those most in need. Meteorologists are now saying the ferocious storm that ravaged the Hunter is technically known as a tornado. Winds reached almost 120 kilometres an hour and torrential rain left a trail of destruction. Ashtonfield, Metford and Beresfield were worst hit. But life goes on. Despite the fact Our Lady of Lord's Church in Beresfield was badly damaged, Gary and Kylie Fairhurst were determined to get married there today.
I might be the jinx because I was at Wallsend and the school hall fell down. I was at Musselbrook and the tower fell off the church. At Wingham, a cross fell off the church. At Merriweather, we had an earthquake, and now this.
Heather Stewart, NBN News.
with Light Machine and Noble Park right out past the middle of the track is now starting to wind up. Many chances with 150 to go. Jack Attack is headed by Light Machine. Noble Park can't get to them. Light Machine hits the lead close to home and Light Machine beat Noble Park.
One-time tournament leader Travis Cook had his problems on the 10th, a double bogey cruelling his chances, but he still managed one of the shots of the tournament on the 11th, setting up an eagle opportunity. Ken Druce also dropped out of contention with a 7 on the par 3 7th, leaving overnight leader Clarkson and his playing partner McKechnie to fight out the title. Both were even for the day till the 11th, where Clarkson's deft touch from the rough set up a birdie and a 2-shot advantage while McKechnie had to settle for par. But he got up and down brilliantly to save par at the 12th before Clarkson dropped a shot at the short 14th and the margin was back to 1 in what had developed into a game of match play. The issue was settled on the next hole when the Western Australians' approach peppered the pin. He then drained the putt, helping him on his way to a winning purse in excess of $6,000. Three-1 ahead at the top of the 4th inning, the Monarchs went further ahead through 3 consecutive hits to lead 6-1. Only a smart double play by the Eagles restricted the visitors, who were determined to make up for yesterday's loss. Trent Kosh's triple base hit to right field helped the Eagles reduce the margin, with the Monarchs finally prevailing 7-5. In surf lifesaving, while nobbies were launching their new surfboat, the state's best under-18s were doing battle at neighbouring Newcastle Beach. Sydney's Northern Beaches won the Intercities Championship, with defending title holders Newcastle 3rd and the Central Coast 4th. Peter Starr took out the under-18s Diamond Lady and board for the Coast, while Newcastle were victorious in the 16s and 18s board relays. And in tennis, Richard Nichols has taken out the Coopers and Lybrand Classic. After a tough semi against William O'Neill, the country champion downed Stephen Gleeson in straight sets, 6-1, 6-love.
At the Smith family's Lambton Centre, the rush is already on to bring disadvantaged families something like a normal Christmas. Though nearly 2,500 food hampers will be distributed, the Smith family says it's always difficult to meet the need.
Coming on Christmas, people think that they can cope and then at the last minute find that they can't, and we do get called on that last week as well.
This year, help has come in the form of 8 students from a school program for teenagers with learning and social difficulties. For 2 days, the volunteer workers and their teachers will pack hampers for the underprivileged, at the same time learning about teamwork and the importance of helping others.
And while, we're all from different backgrounds, we all appreciate the help that we're able to give one another. And so I guess that's a good way to finish off the year for the kids here.